When you are scared, remember as children, when we're scared and we had nightmares, we'd run into our parents' room for comfort. We'd go there and we'd cuddle up there, and immediately we'll fall asleep and have a sweet sleep because we were comforted, we were assured. So in the same way, know that there is love that protects you and envelopes you and keeps you warm. And therefore you will fear no evil. So that is what a wealthy woman looks like. This is a woman who personifies those words. I will fear no evil, for you are with me.
And just to be clear, when you talk about evil, evil can actually also be lack.
Indeed, it can be lack. Indeed, it can be even some sort of a test which is supposed to strengthen you.
As in maybe your shop gets bent down.
Exactly. At that point in time, you are frightened. You are motivated by fear.
So anything that puts you in a state of fear is evil.
Exactly. Okay. It appears to be evil. Let's remember that evil or good and all these things are all things of appearance. Because one thing for one person means another thing for another person. So let's say, for example, the example of Jesus when he was in the Garden of Gethsemane and he was praying. This is a man who his mission was clear to him. Yet on that day, we heard him say, Father, let this cup pass, in different words. But he was asking his father to let this go and let his destiny change. But the father didn't, because he was sent for that purpose. And so even though he got afraid and he asked for it, it didn't happen. He was forced to persevere. And that is why we talk about being in the eye of the storm. The storm will rage, but be in the eye so that you can overcome, so that through the fire, you can be transformed. For some of you who've read The Alchemist, you can be transformed from base metal to gold. And you can look back and be able to encourage others that what you're going through is nothing. I've been there before. I know what it's like for people to insult you when they don't even know you. I know how it's like for people to spin a story around you. I've been there before, and I've come out of it a stronger person, better able to handle that. And that fire was good for you. So sometimes that fire is good for you. But at that point in time, all you know is that it's evil. If you feel that, overcome fear by knowing who is with you and become calm, because you will succeed when you're calm.
Okay, makes sense. I get it.
So as Eleanor Roosevelt said, and she was a former first lady of the US, a woman is like a tea bag. You never know how strong that tea bag is until it's in hot water. I've recalled several times when I was asked to do things and I'm like, no, I can't do it. I can't even talk. I'm even shy. I'll have butterflies in my stomach, all sorts of excuses. But post doing it, I found out that, oh my goodness, it's very doable. I can do it. In fact, I'm capable. I've had a lot of friends who've told me that before they went into many things that they were asked to do so, they felt incompetent. They felt short of that. Are you sure I can do it? This sounds like a big task. This is a task for a man, not for a woman. Sometimes we would say, but
if you don't say, they'll say to you, for sure.
Exactly, anyway. So you go in and you prove yourself. I mean, during COVID, the heat of the COVID time, so that was late 2019 into early 2020. When we check all the countries around the world who were able to contain their situation and manage their nations well, when we check in fact, all the presidents, we could easily come to the conclusion that the female-led nations were the ones who were able to contain the situation initially. And it's because we also have that gift that even though we may panic initially, we quickly resolve, get a plan, and move into action. And we are able to calm a situation. When children have a problem, very few of them go crying daddy. They cry mommy, because they know mommy is strong enough. And true enough, you're able to show that you are strong enough and you resolve the issue for them. So women, we are just powerful. We show our strength, especially when the water is hot, not when it's cool, because then we have time for other things. Next slide, Taylor. So we'll move into a little bit of financial planning. And this is just to get us all thinking, to get our juices flowing on financial planning. Because financial planning covers all of our life, actually. Whether we are married, whether we are single, whether we're working or not, it doesn't matter your age, you do need to have some financial planning, because whether we like it or not, the base currency in most lives is either digital money or fiat money, as we call it, which is actual cash. So let's look at financial planning and take it to a bigger picture. Let's evaluate all the assets that we have. Assets meaning God-given gifts, our talents. Remember the talents? Many of us have so many wonderful talents that form the greater whole. And if everybody plays their part, we get a successful society, a successful nation. So what are those talents that we have? Let's enumerate them. Some of us have debased our talents. We've decided that, doing hair is low class, sewing is this is that, nursing is that. No, it's your talent and it is critical.
Recording in progress.
Green thumb is even a gift.
Being what? Sorry.
Having a green thumb is a big gift.
Oh, really?
Oh. Yes, because anything you touch will grow. We need people who can grow food, who can grow plants, because we need food security. We need the beauty of plants around us, and we need our climate to be cleaned out by these plants and trees. So we even need that for basic life. So everyone's talent is very important. Then, of course, acquired assets, be they cars or houses or businesses, these are all assets. So our first, yes, go ahead.
About assets, is it true that if you do not own a piece of earth, you are not truly wealthy?
It is not true. And we'll speak about that in a second. I'll go to that and give you a clear example of one such situation. But you don't need to actually own things. We will come to that. Okay. So our first question is, what do you have in your hands? And that question I learned from the prophet who met the widow. Now this widow had sons, which is a good thing, but unfortunately her husband had just died, and he died a pauper, and he owed so many people. So her sons were actually working to repay these debts, and therefore they were not generating new income or new earnings. She was miserable. The prophet comes to her and says, "Give me food." And she starts to think, all I have is a little meal and a little bit of oil. How do I share this? This is what we'll eat tonight, and that's it. And many of us think that way. Whatever we have, we think it will only last us for so and so days, and that's it. I just can't share. I don't have enough. The prophet asked her this big question: what do you have in your hands? She said nothing, because her mind was on the big debt that she had to repay. So she said nothing. What do you have in your hands? Nothing. Saying it again, she now started to think deeper. And then she realized, okay, let me say what I have, even if it's this my torn dress or whatever I have. And she said, I just have a little piece of meal and I have some oil. And it was those two, how should I put it? Those two insignificant things in her mind that the prophet used to make her life rich. Now she had oil overflowing, some that she could sell, some that she could use. It was just more than enough. It never finished. So don't play down your God-given gifts or any little assets that you have, whether you have access to it or whether you actually own it. So talking about owning things, I have a mother who does not wish to own anything. She doesn't want her name on any title. She loves to use things. She loves to enjoy things, but to own it and have her name on it, she doesn't want that responsibility. So there are people who believe that I'm only here, I'm a spirit having an earthly experience. I'm here for a while. There's no need to put my name on anything. I just want to enjoy and go. And there are others who want to own at all costs. They'll fight over land. They'll fight over property. There are others too who do not want to own. And surprisingly, Charlotte, just for the number of years that I've been on this earth, I've done that study before and realized that those who don't own don't go through maintenance, don't pay insurance, don't do anything. All they do is enjoy. Their life is a life of enjoyment.
Pay rent. She'll pay rent and then she just enjoys.
She won't pay rent. She will just enjoy. And we'll come to that way of living because it starts again from the mind. A person who can attract enjoyment. And many times we are envious of that person because we are working hard. We are laboring and we are sweating. And I
just got a free trip to the Maldives and Tega has been jealous all day.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Somebody will be sweating for it. I mean,
green doesn't suit you, by the way.
When I started life, I started out thinking I had to work hard. I had to study hard, I had to work hard, I had to push, I had to become like a man. I started out working in the bank and in the mining industry. And it was a competition with the men. And I would go underground, even though I wasn't mining directly. But anything they could do, I believe I could do better and I must show and I must do it. It is only later in life when I got a few slaps from universe,
from life,
that I realized that I didn't need to do that. And as soon as I calmed down and opened my heart to receive, my goodness, Charlotte, I have received more than I've ever worked for. I mean, there are times when we go through a project and 3, 4, 5 years later, we look back and ask ourselves, how did I pay for this? Because if someone did a check for source of income, your income will not equal what you spent. So where did the gap come from? There's amazing grace. So many times we start out with a project and I must have all the funds before I can. No, just relax. Open your heart to receive. And for those of us who think we are so hardworking, even when we are presented with a gift, we don't believe we deserve it. We immediately push it back. No, I don't want it. One of my daughters does that. When her friends give her gifts because they love her, because they like her, and she will give gifts, but she doesn't want to receive. Oh, this is too expensive. Oh, this is too that. This is too. I said, be open to receiving gifts. And many times God even gives us gifts without us even realizing. Because I've had a situation where years later, somebody made me know that they made something happen for me and I didn't even know them. But they opened a door that made me receive so much and I didn't even know them. So people can gift you in so many ways that can make your life more successful and fruitful.
But sometimes those gifts may not even come in terms of material assets.
No.
Maybe a connection to someone else.
Or a good word about
amazing, you. Yes, or a good word for you.
Exactly.
That's true. A recommendation for an opportunity.
And you wonder, how did I get this job? How did I get this business? How did I get this?
I have realized personally that all the big career breaks I've had, I've never applied for them.
That's right.
And when I want it, I don't get. The ones I don't even want and I don't know about, they just land on my lap. I never have to fight for it.
So that realization will come when there's been the transformation of the mind. So the next question is, what do you want? Remember that I said before, you're a spiritual being having an earthly experience. What do you want? I've seen people who behave as if they are going to be on this earth forever.
Yeah.
And they are, as we say in Ghana, they are patapa. They want everything. They just want to acquire and acquire and acquire and amass. And they don't even get to enjoy those things. Remember, you're here for a while. Try and enjoy everything that you have. That beautiful dress, wear it. Those crockery and cutlery you've put away, bring them out and enjoy it. I'm sure you've seen a lot of advice on that. Take it. It is real. Enjoy what you have. If you see something that you like, that you can afford, buy it, wear it, use it. Just enjoy anything that comes your way. You don't know how long you're going to be here for. And always remember that. Now, whatever it is that you want, whether it's an asset, whether it's even a depreciating asset or an appreciating asset, we'll talk about those kind of assets when the time comes. All those things generate a feeling within you. So let's look at some of these things that we want. If it's tangible, what is it? If it's something we can hold on to, whether it's a house, it's a business, what is it? Let's define it in our minds. It is possible it will change, it will evolve over time. But for now, determine what it is and write it down. Also start to think, how do I get it? And don't go into negative mode. Just go into practical mode, whether it's Google, whether it's asking a friend, whether it's checking at a particular commission, how do I get to this? They'll give you the requirements. I need a passport. What are the requirements? Passport photo, fill a form, go through the requirements. So that's one. Then take baby steps to achieve these goals. Honestly, some of the requirements may seem overwhelming. It may be so big to you, but take your baby steps. So step one is taking a picture. Pardon?
What do you mean by baby steps?
So baby steps would be, let's say, number one, you're trying to get a passport.
I want to buy a house.
Let's say you want to buy a house. So step one will be finding out what the prices are. That may determine whether you think it's realistic or not. And if it's not, the end goal is that you want to own a house. So then you decide, I may not buy. It could be you didn't like the designs that are available as well. So it will be, I will build one.
Okay.
There will be the first step of the dream. What will that house look like? So you will speak to an architect. You may even draft the plan yourself. You may draw it yourself. I want the kitchen here, and this year I want 4 bedrooms. So that will become a brief for the architect. And you may get an architect to design it for you. And you will pay something small for that. It's not the 5 million cedis for the house. It's perhaps the 50,000 cedis. And you will have your plan, and you can dwell on that good report and have that vision in your mind. Then you will move to the next step of perhaps looking for land. And that is also another process. Eventually you will find land in an area that you can afford. You will discuss with the landowner and you will talk about a payment plan and so forth. So basically, the baby steps are those first steps that you take towards showing your commitment to a much bigger goal. So let's take another example even, marriage. I want to be married. You know what it entails. It means meeting a man that you can get married to. And so you start to look out. You start to go out, or you start to put the word out, or you start to go on the internet
What?
I'm telling Tega to write the steps.
Start going to some dating websites. Tega and everyone looking for that. You will start with that baby step, that first step. Sometimes you may start there and your mom or someone who really loves you may remind you that that is not the baby step. The baby step is you're not doing your hair nicely. You don't look good enough. So perhaps you need to do a little this, a little that. And you start to make yourself attractive. In any kingdom at all, even in the animal kingdom, we see courtship and we see how the animals prep themselves for courtship and for marriage. This is the work of God. This is the work of the universe so that we can reproduce. It's not only for being in love, but it's so that the earth can continue to be in existence and have people on it. So you play a small part of it. As overwhelming that it may be, you start with that baby step of looking pretty. And some of these things are already in us. They are inbuilt. As a teenager, look how we comb our hair and we want to try lipstick. It's all towards a much bigger goal, but you start from somewhere. So you start with the baby steps that are not frightening.